Well, today we have a difficult topic to address, but before we address that, let me address something else, and that is, today we're only going to be in chapters 21, 22. 1 Kings ends, and our next chapter that we're going to after this is a book called Ruth. So we're skipping 2 Kings, going straight into Ruth, and I need to give Ruth attention and really talk about, instead of lumping these two chapters with the 4 chapters of Ruth and just doing one video, I really need to give that its own episode. So today we're going to end in the last 2 chapters of 21, 22, and then we'll catch back up with our 5 chapters a day tomorrow in Ruth and kind of do it that way. But let me just say, 1 Kings 22, and the reason this is going to be a little bit of a difficult conversation is because we are dealing with the aftermath of Solomon's sin. And because of what Solomon did, I'm not blaming everything on Solomon, but when he was older and because he sinned, that just became the thing of the day, that people would just begin to not sense in sin, but kings would come. Like all of 1 Samuel is pretty much about Saul and David. All of 2 Samuel is pretty much about David and his choices. And now we're having new kings pop up. After Solomon, it was kings like Jehoshaphat and Ahab and so on and so forth. And you said all these kings with these different chapters. And even in 2 Kings, it's just king after king after king. This one did evil. This one did evil. This one did evil. This one did evil. So you see the country or the nation and even the kings have all this sin. And I'm not saying it's all Solomon's fault, because it's not. But it resulted in the kingdom being split in between Judah and Israel, and that's just what we see. So now we're going to look at this guy named Jehoshaphat, and I want to pick up in verse 41 of chapter 22. And it says this: Jehoshaphat, son of Asa, began to rule over Judah in the 4th year of the king Ahab's reign in Israel. So they were reigning at the same time. Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he became king. Now think about that, 35 years old, and he became king. That's pretty young. Not the youngest, but it is young. And he reigned in... Now, why would people, by the way, we typically see that in Scripture. He was 20 or 25 or 35, a lot older than maybe like what we see now with Donald. Why was that? And that was because they were strong. And when you were strong enough, you could fight your way and claw your way to the seat. And people didn't live as long back then, so 35 was a little bit older maybe now than their life expectancy was longer. So anyways, there's a lot to it, but when you're 35, you're built, you're young, you're agile, and you can fight your way to the top and then defend your king, defend your throne. So he did that. And Asa was his dad, who was king, so they kind of just handed it off that way. Anyway, so Jehoshaphat was a good king, following the example of his father Asa. Now, he was good, one of the only good ones, but get this, he did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight during his reign. However, he failed to remove all the pagan shrines, and the people still offered sacrifices and burned incense there. Jehoshaphat also made peace with the king of Israel. Now, here's why this is a difficult conversation. He made peace with the king of Israel. Peace is always a good thing. But when you make peace with somebody like Ahab, and you don't call a crook in his position, okay, somebody who is Ahab was the worst of the worst. And instead of going to war and calling evil and calling Ahab out, he just had peace with him. I'm speaking so much to me because this is so hard. But he had peace with him and just it's okay. Instead of addressing him to his face, this is wrong. Secondly, Jehoshaphat did personally, it says it right there, he followed after his father Asa. He did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight. He did good. Personally, his personal walk with Christ was a good personal walk with Christ. But he didn't remove the obstacles that other people were sinning by doing. So instead of saying, hey, I need to remove your possibility to sin and your the tendency for you to fall and for you to stumble. I need to remove that. He just said, I'm just going to focus on me. I'm just going to do me, and I'll let you take care of you. And by doing that, Jehoshaphat was wrong. And this is why I say this is so hard, because I just give you an example of one of the things that kind of comes to mind is, I think somebody can follow God and personally be right with God, but if they are not stepping into the avenues to help other people fight their temptations and remove those temptations, maybe it's not right. So one of the things I was just giving this example is pornography. And I hate to even use that word. It's a disgusting word. It's a disgusting thing that ruins many marriages. But more than that, it hurts a lot of people and a lot of souls. And it happens at a very young age. It normally sinks its teeth into people, I'd say 6th grade or younger. I know you can't believe me, but I'm telling you, 6th grade or younger. And you have to be 18, I think, to join the Army or to enlist. 21 to buy alcohol. I don't know how old to buy tobacco. 18 to buy guns, 21 to buy guns, 25 to rent a hotel or a rental car. All these age restrictions. But when it comes to something like that disgusting word, and having a 6th grader watch that, we just, oh yeah, go ahead. Are you kidding me? We got to have lawmakers and hold them responsible. That they need to say, this is wrong, and nothing less than you better, if you go to this website or that website, if you indulge in that, all right, send a picture of your driver's license. Show proof that you are over 18 or 21 or however, whatever age limit you set it. I mean, it's wrong no matter what age you are. Don't get me like it's terrible. But when it hurts our children, and at such an innocent age, and they don't even know enough to fight against it, they just become addicted because a friend or a neighbor or a babysitter had it on their phone or showed them, or they accidentally stumbled across it on a computer. Are you kidding me? And see, what we're doing is our lawmakers, like Jehoshaphat, may be personally good people. And I believe they are. I love our lawmakers. And I think they are doing a fantastic job with what they have, and they're trying their best. And I know this is a hard thing to ask. I get it. I know that it's a hard thing to ask. But it's the same thing as allowing these pagan shrines. What Jehoshaphat did, allowed the pagan shrines just to be there, and people could go worship all they wanted. Instead of removing the temptation, he just left it there and was more focused on his own. And I think, yes, be focused on your own, yes, but as people who can, let me say it like that, people who have the ability to remove that temptation and at least make it impossible for them. And maybe they can steal somebody else's driver's license and lie and all that kind of stuff. Okay. But they're going to be putting in their information, and it's going to be out there on the web. And so maybe that would at least make them say, well, if my parents find this out, I'm putting my name on the web and it may all come back to me. I don't know. But we can do more than what we're doing right now, specifically with that avenue. And I told y'all it was going to be a hard conversation to have today. And I don't back up from it, because I think something's got to change, because too many young lives, too many times I've sat across from a young person and they said, my life is being ruined by this. And it started when I was in the 6th grade, the 5th grade. And we got to stop it. Lawmakers got to say, you at least got to show proof of your age. And if you're not 18 years of older, you do not need access to this. 21 years of older, nobody needs access to it. but especially not our kids. And we got to do something to stand up for them. Not to be only focused on our own righteousness, but on the righteousness and removing temptation from others. I think it's a really important thing. So I wanted to bring that up today. Once again, tomorrow, we're going to be in Ruth. And it's only 4 chapters. We'll only focus on those 4 chapters. So you get a little break. But 4 chapters tomorrow. You'll be walking through Ruth. And so tomorrow, I'll see y'all then. And we'll talk a little bit about Naomi and Ruth. Until then, see y'all next time. Peace.